My name's Beggles and I am looking at the best video games coming out on Steam in April 2024. No long intro, let's get stuck into it. Without a doubt, the biggest gaming release in April will be Manor Lords, and if you've watched any of the previous videos on my channel, you will know that I am a huge fan of this game. A medieval city builder that looks next level in terms of design and graphics, and also the general scope of gameplay. You can pretty much do everything here, from resource management to building to warfare, and having played the demo in the past, watching your little settlement turn into this amazing sprawling little town, it looks awesome. Manor Lords has been one of the most anticipated game of this year, so I'm really looking forward to its release in late April. Let's move on to Sons of Valhalla, another game that I was lucky enough to play the demo of, and if you've ever played a game called Kingdom 2 Crowns, this gameplay is going to look really familiar to you. Sons of Valhalla is a 2D combat and base building game set in the Viking Ages. You need to manage and expand your troops and base building, and you do that by conquering the nearby towns, taking over their resources and slowly expanding your area of control. The wider your area of control becomes, the harder it is to actually look after everything and keep on top. This is one of those games that has you running backwards and forwards all the time. The pixel art in Sons of Valhalla is amazing. There's a bit of a storyline there, it's pretty cool. With an early release in April, I'm sure that this one will get some pretty good reviews. Yet another fantasy title is a game that doesn't take itself too serious. This action RPG is full of absurd humor and looks to me a little bit like what if Shrek was based on some of the finer fantasy stories of our time. You'll be playing as a rogue and in this world be fighting fantastical creatures, being involved in some horse chases that look a little bit like they were inspired by GTA. Complete epic quests, fight dragons, throw magical rings into fire pits of doom. All the while, the good royal guards are chasing you. The spells and fighting looks pretty fun here. A game for those that want to giggle a little bit as they play through. We're 2 minutes now into this video, so it's my time to say if you are enjoying the video, subscribe and leave a comment about which game you like the most. The world of Europa is pretty stunning, and you could be forgiven for thinking, why haven't we heard a lot more about this game? It just looks so peaceful and wholesome. In Europa, you will play as an android named Z that sets out on an adventure to the moon Europa that's been terraformed in the shadow of Jupiter. This is an exploration game at heart. You will be running, gliding, and flying across some landscape that looks exceptional. And indeed, if the trailers are anything to go by, you're going to be spending a lot of your platforming here in the air. You get the chance to upgrade Z's jetpack and unlock a story about humanity's relationship with nature. It's all good feelings here. Europa will be a game for those that enjoy exploration and puzzles without the need to be involved in too much combat. What do you think? No Rest for the Wicked just looks too darn cool. From Moon Studios, the people behind the Ori franchise, this is a precision action RPG, which pretty much means that the developers want you to plan and be very specific with the action moves that you take. Set within a deteriorating world that looks part fantasy, part horror, you will be playing as a Serum, a member of a group of mystical warriors. And as you can imagine, there's a few things going wrong around you. There's a plague, there's some holy figures that are causing a stir, and after the death of King Harold, you know there's a bit of a power vacuum as well. No Rest for the Wicked not only looks stunning with a very distinct graphic style, but also can be accessed by 4 players in an online co-op mode. This is a pretty impressive title with quite a few mature themes. Moving into one of my favourite genres of this year, here's a game called Of Life and Land, and a bit of a change of pace. This is a low poly city builder, and your job is to take on a leadership role of these new settlements and decide in what direction you want to go. One of the big emphasis of Life and Land is that you will be playing alongside a nature and environment. So there are animals, there are plants, and the decisions that you make are going to have a big impact. So there's a possibility of extinction. There's a possibility of humans' impact becoming devastating for the ecosystem. The different seasons and weather will affect the way you play through. And in classic city builder style, you'll need to not only design the aesthetic elements and layout of your city, but also keep an eye on the resources and make sure that you've got people that are happy living within your settlement. I like the look of this game. It is in a genre that is very heavily saturated at the moment. Let's move on to Biomorph, this futuristic tech-driven Metroidvania game that allows you to not only beat the living daylights out of your enemies, but then take over them and use their abilities to help you progress further into the game. Biomorph is full of action in this hand-drawn world. and has all of the aspects of a Metroidvania platform game that you would expect, including boss fights, some pumping music, and a whole lot of platforming. There is a whole lot of different weapons that you can use, ranging from melee to ranged weapons themselves, and upgrade trees for you to work through. Something that looks quite familiar in the Metroidvania genre, but just a little bit different. So I'd be interested to see this take on it. It's another zombie post-apocalyptic game, but this time there's a bit of a twist. And I've noticed that Infection Free Zone has a pretty big following, and a lot of that comes down to the fact that you can download the maps of any city in the world and then use that as the base for which you're going to be playing through, meaning that you'll be getting to fight off hordes of zombies in a world in which you'll be a lot more familiar than you normally would in a video game. Set up your infection-free zone in the daytime by scavenging, rebuilding, and setting up traps and security for the nighttime, when you will possibly get big hordes of zombies that are going to attack you. It's then time to use anything at your disposal, including ranged weapons, vehicles, and pretty much whatever else you can throw at them. An interesting take on the genre, showing that you don't need to have the best graphics in the world to make a game that's engaging, you just need to have a unique perspective, will be one to keep an eye out for. Automation games are all the rage at the moment, and Odd Sparks is one of the newest and perhaps cutest titles releasing in this genre. This game is set in a fantasy world in which you not only automate all the different aspects of your workshop, but also get to do a bit of exploring in procedurally generated world and fight some strange enemies as well. A cute game that you can play with friends online with up to 4 players. The last game that we've got on our list is set within a pretty interesting world. It's called Sandland and is an action RPG game that has vehicle-based combat. This is an exploration game that definitely has a bit of an anime vibe to it, in which you'll play as the main character, Beelzebub, pretty cool name, and learn how to control his powers. A game to me that looks like it probably would have been usually designed about 15 years ago, but I'm really curious to see how this one goes. Let me know what you think about Sandland, and hey, let me know what you think about the other games that we talked about in this video.